There's so much to talk about with the Cardinals. And listen, I get tired of saying small samples, so I'm going to say it one time at the beginning of this, because obviously 3 games is a small sample. No one needs to be told that. I don't know why I and others in the media always feel like they have to, in effect, talk down to people by saying, well, it's a small sample. Just keep that in mind. Yeah. If you're a baseball fan, they know that 3 games do not mean the 162 games. So, all right, duly noted. Last time you'll hear that from me, at least during this segment. But, the Cardinals really had themselves quite a weekend, in the standpoint that they won a series after really, frankly, just blowing the first game of the season, losing 10-9 with the bullpen giving it up in the 6th, 7th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings to allow Toronto to come back and win the game. So 3 different comebacks, 3 different rallies. So you lose the first game, but then you come out, and then Saturday's a weird game, but because of the Flaherty thing, but you win 4-1, and then yesterday it was just out and out, a beatdown, 9-4. Gorman 2 home runs, Donovan a home run, Burleson a home run, and needless to say, and we'll talk about him maybe later because I'm trying to do more of a general thing now, but Nolan Gorman, the guy that's, Jim, as you know, I'm skeptical of these. I tend to be skeptical. It depends on who's writing it. But in general, I tend to be skeptical of these stories of, he's worked hard all winter. He's changed his swing. He's got a better understanding about, you got to lay off those high pitches in the strike zone. He's a changed hitter. I tend to just be highly skeptical. But in Gorman's case, I believe the reports because why? Because Gorman in the minor leagues, he always started out scuffling and struggling, and then he's a smart guy. He's got pride. He does work hard. He would just say, well, all right, now let me catch my breath. What do I need to do to make this better? And then he would fix it. Well, as I've said a million times, and I apologize for the redundancy, 80% of his rookie season was really good, but then he just crashed badly down the stretch, the last 6 weeks or so. But we saw what he was capable of doing. Well, anyway, Gorman, those changes are evident, and that's pretty exciting if you're the St. Louis Cardinals or you're a fan. Long way to go in terms of you got to prove that over the long haul, but we all know that. But anyway, I wanted to go into a couple other things just for the weekend with this offense. In the 3-game series, they scored 22 runs. They sprayed 41 hits around, and a bunch of those went for extra bases. Here's the thing I like: they brought all the power and all the runs. But they only struck out 13% of their plate appearances. I mean, that's truly remarkable because in this day and age, in the way baseball is now, to strike out only 13% of your plate appearances over 3 games, I don't care what time of the season it is, that's really special. So, also, 12 position players appeared in this series for the Cardinals. All 12 had at least 1 hit. Yes, even Andrew Knizner. And 10 of the 12 scored a run. So if you want to talk about depth, there you go. There's your depth right there. That's one sign of it. But for the series, they averaged 7.3 runs. They hit 373. They reached base 43% of the time. They slugged 591. And even in their only loss, of course, we know this, they banged out 9 runs. So after the first series of the year for all 30 teams, the Cardinals have the best offense in the majors. If you use the fancy pants adjusted runs created, they were 102% above the league average offensively in this opening series of the season, which ranks first among all the clubs in the major leagues. So you look at that, and the next thing I'm going to get into here is, give me 1 second. 1 second. Thank you for bearing with me, as always. The other thing is, I don't know there's 2 different categories I wanted to explore about their offense. Number 1, how many times have we said, boy, they need to go get a left-handed bat, maybe even 2, because right-handed pitchers just work them over. They got to increase their presence with left-handed hitters. Well, they have. And even though we don't know what to expect the rest of the season, but all of a sudden you look out there, and including the switch hitters, Carlson had quietly had a good series going 3 for 4. And Tommy Edman, if you include them, because after all, a lot of their at-bats, they're facing a right-handed pitcher. But if you look at the Cardinals' left-handed hitters, including the switch hitters, against the Blue Jays, this delegation of left-handed batters hit .392. They had 5 homers. They drove in 12. On-base percentage, just about .450. They slugged over .700. I mean, my goodness. Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan, Alec Burleson, Lars Nootbaar, who only played one game, and switch hitters Carlson and Edman. I mean, you talk about bringing the juice. You wanted stronger. You wanted more danger, more power, just better overall offensive performance by your left-handed hitters, and you wanted more left-handed hitters. Well, they've shown up. The last of whom is Alec Burleson. He was great yesterday, 9-4 win, 2 doubles and a 2-run homer. But those guys, that group I just mentioned, they just destroyed the Blue Jays this weekend. They just destroyed them, and that was really impressive. And it's something, again, that we've all kind of been pining for. You got to get left-handed bats to be a more dangerous lineup, a deeper lineup especially against right-handed pitching.
It was impressive, super impressive, because everybody that got the chance, Bernie, as you point out with numbers, they succeeded. And we kind of hinted all winter, well, this could be really good. It could be good. They showed it in the first 3 games. They can be really good. Everybody did what they were supposed to do. Even you mentioned Carlson. I was impressed the fact that he was hitting the ball. I mean, he was getting some little pop. I mean, there were singles, but he was driving the ball better than we had seen.
Yeah, I think so.
That's I think was the most important thing watching him. You mentioned Gordon Burleson super impressed me because you thought you saw it last year, but there wasn't a lot of opportunity. His opportunity came yesterday, and he just said, "I'm here, I'm ready. Watch this." It was lights out to watch him do his thing. And I didn't think Brendan Donovan could get better, but I think he's gotten better.
2 home runs already after hitting 5 all of last season. And here's a couple other numbers that sort of back up that what we're seeing does matter. It's not some fluke thing like, where did that come from? Mm-hmm. Again, we read the stories, and John Denton did a great job with it. Donovan trained all winter, all off season to refine his swing, to be able to get more elevation on the ball. He picked up a heavier bat, and he focused on just hitting the ball a lot harder. And he made those changes, and it looks like it's true. Let me give you a couple numbers on this, everybody. Donovan has barreled 4 pitches already. Last season, the entire season, 11. He's already got 4. How about that?
Wow.
Last season, his hard hit rate was 37.7%. In the opening series, his hard hit rate was 54%. I mean, boom. He had an average exit velocity last year about 88 miles per hour. This year it's about 90.5 miles per hour. So the changes he implemented, at least for now, are paying off. I don't see why they wouldn't, because he was hitting for power all spring. And the changes Gorman implemented are clearly working better for him early in the season. And the thing that Will Leach and I were talking about this on Seeing Red, the thing about Gorman, maybe even more impressive than the 2 home runs yesterday, he had 4 walks in that series.
Yes.
And he wasn't chasing pitches. Last year he chased pitches out of the zone about 35% of the time. In this series he chased out of the zone about 13% of the time. Now, sustainability is the question, but the immediate impact of the changes he's made and Gorman has made really showed up for the first 3 games of the season. Now, there's another subset, if you will, I wanted to bring up. I call it the young and the wreckage, not restless, the young and the wreckage.
Yeah.
They received a ton of offense in this series from players aged 24 or younger and who also are playing in their first or second MLB season. That group is Donovan, Gorman, Carlson, Burleson, Walker. They punished the Blue Jays pitchers for 19 hits, a .404 average, 3 doubles, 5 homers, 14 RBI. Think about that. I know that Donovan is 26, but he's only in his second MLB season. Imagine that. All these young guys and all these guys who have no more than one full season of experience, except for Carlson, he's 2. But most of these guys, they're in either their first season or in their second season. And this young nucleus that we were so excited about, again, just in the first look in the new season, they were absolutely spectacular. In fact, you didn't even notice that Nootbaar was out for 2 games, and he'll be out again tonight. You didn't even notice it because everyone else was producing fireworks. You didn't notice, in a way, that Contreras didn't play all 3 games because they were still scoring runs. Even though he had a big opening day, you didn't even notice Nolan Arenado the last couple games. And that's not a knock on him. I'm just saying the young guys took over. The left-handed hitters took over. And these are 2 exciting developments that, again, have to be sustained, but it gives you a reason to believe that maybe this thing could turn out to be as special as we thought. You know what they did? Final thing before we take a break. You know what they did? Listen, man, I know pitchers have bad days. I get it. But this hyped-up offense had a tough assignment. They had to face 3 really good starters lining up the first series of the season: Alek Manoah, Kevin Gausman, and Chris Bassett. There's in terms of what they've been doing in the majors, there's not a weak link there. They're all really good starting pitchers. Well, this one didn't turn out to be a big rumble. Here's what Cardinals hitters did to those 3 starters. In other words, the stats I'm going to give you only apply to the 3 Toronto starters. The Cardinals scored 14 earned runs in 12 2/3 against them. That's a 9.95 ERA. They had 6 home runs. They hit 1 every 11 at-bats. They had 27 hits against those 3 starters. They batted .429. They had a 1.198 OPS. And against those 3 starters, any one of whom could be in the All-Star game this year, or more than one, they struck out only 15% of the time against Manoah, Gausman, and Bassett. That was just a hell of a 3-game series in terms of that Cardinal offense.
And what you said there about Arenado, he grounded in a couple double plays. You go, yeah, that's no big deal.
All right. Yeah.
It wouldn't have been that case last year, but this year, it's like, yeah, okay, no big deal.
And, you look at and something else I noticed, not that anybody overlooks Paul Goldschmidt. He is the reigning MVP of the National League. But he goes 6 for 12 in that series. Well, got a walk, I think a double. I think he drove in a run, scored a run or 2. But he goes 6 for 12. And if you think about it, just like now, everybody's buzzing about all these other guys and what they did, including Jordan Walker, who hit 333 in his first series ever, and had about an 800 OPS. Hits the ball hard, but not to put a damper on Walker because he's an exciting talent, and it was great to see him in a Cardinal uniform. But scouts and prospect pundits have all said the same thing. This guy's got immense talent, but there's only one thing that concerns me. He's going to hit too many ground balls. And you know what his ground ball rate was in these 3 games? 81%. So that's going to have to be fixed over time. Because that'll limit his power. He won't be hitting the – you can't hit the ball over the wall when you're grounding out 81% of the time. But he's a baby. He just started. That will come later. And he too will make the adjustments.